political analyst Etse Obama spending a lot of money bashing Romney on his tax returns. Etse Sikanku is in Iowa. He's joining us for some comments on the U.S. situation. Hi, Etse. Good morning.
Good morning, Bernard.
Yes. How are you doing? What's happening with the U.S. election situation?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Hope you're doing great too. Well, it's as you can imagine, the tempo has picked up with the Mitt Romney, with the Paul Ryan pick. It is a pick that has been received with a lot of contention from both sides. Whereas the Republicans see it as a bold choice, the Democrats see it as a very risky choice because the choice that Mitt Romney has made is a very risky choice. Yes, he is very appealing to the conservative base. He is the chairman of the House Budget Committee, and there's no one who represents the intellectual and ideological phase of the Republican Party more than Paul Ryan. He was the brain behind two major policy documents that were issued behind the party, and his name was actually stamped on those documents. And so he's a favorite personality within the Republican Party, and Romney is hoping that such a candidate will energize the base of his party. But then at the same time, those policies that Paul Ryan has issued are contentious issues, and they have been deemed as extreme to the American mainstream system. And so the Democrats have immediately pounced on that. And so I think this election is going to be an election of contrast rather than an election of choice, rather than a referendum on Barack Obama. And we are waiting to see whether this particular panoply, how it's going to play out, whether the choice election or the referendum election will win at it.
Now, it's interesting you say that this will not be a referendum on Obama, because usually for elections after 4 years of an incumbent, it typically is a referendum on the performance of the incumbent. Why is this election different? Is it because of Mitt Romney's own problems, or is it because everybody in America knows that some of the challenges they are facing are global, and therefore it's not really about Obama, but it's about a comparison between the two?
Well, it's an interesting question, Bernard, and you've really hit at the heart of the issue shaping the race now. Up until the point that Mitt Romney chose Paul Ryan as his running mate, the election was pretty much a referendum, which is what everybody would expect, as you rightly said. We have an incumbent running. Barack Obama was an unknown candidate, an unknown quantity in 2008. It was a fresh face. He wasn't in power. Nobody had anything to argue against him. Now we've had 4 years of Barack Obama. He's promulgated several policies, and so we now know who Obama is. And so, like you rightly said, it was expected to be a referendum on the 4 past years of Barack Obama, which to a large extent was not looking good for Obama because, although some of the policies he promulgated were passed by the Congress, others were not so well received by Americans, especially his healthcare law. And unemployment in America is still stagnant. It's at 8.1% now. And historically, data has shown that no American president has been re-elected with the unemployment figure above 6%. So really, this was going to be a tough battle for Obama if it was going to be a referendum on the past 4 years. Now, what Mitt Romney has done was to immediately shift the conversation. It's no more a referendum on Obama because he's introduced a candidate who has clear policies. Everybody said that Mitt Romney was very hard to gauge. He gives middle answers on everything. In the morning, he says one thing. In the evening, he says another thing. He's such a flip-flopper. He reads the political barometer and makes his choices according to where the wave is turning. And so it was hard to pinpoint him down. Now he's chosen a candidate, Paul Ryan, who has a clear plan. Paul Ryan is planning to cut Medicare from the American healthcare system, which means that older people are not going to have as much money to pay for their healthcare. He is planning to reduce the American budget by making serious cuts in education, which is going to affect a lot of people. They basically see him as somebody who's going to make cuts to benefit the wealthy to the detriment of the poor and the middle class. And so what Mitt Romney has done with the Paul Ryan selection is that he has given a clear choice to the Americans instead of turning it into a referendum. And this is going to shift the dynamic of the race and the dynamism of the race. I personally feel that this is much the advantage of Barack Obama. If he had chosen somebody else like Marco Rubio, who is a lightning rod, who is a star, who has star power both within the Democrats and the Republicans, then it would have been an uphill battle for President Obama. Now he's giving everybody a choice, and so it's left with the American people to decide which of the choices they want. I'm thinking that this is I mean, Paul Ryan is what we call the ultra right candidate, the ultra conservative. And so whether he's going to appeal to the independents is a question that is going to remains to be seen. And so in the next months, the next few months is going to be a battle for the independent soul of America.
Well, this is the Citi Breakfast Show. We are hanging out on Google Plus with Etse Sikanku. Actually, I can see his face as if he was in a television on the screen in front of me. I think he needs a haircut badly. But having said that, Etse is looking okay. So Etse is giving us a sense of what to expect in the U.S. election. Is it too soon to call this election? Most of the articles I've read, people say that the race is very close, with Obama having a slight edge. Do you expect any changes in terms of who gets a lead as we get closer to November?
Yes, you know what, Ben. And before I go ahead, I live in Iowa, which is 95% white, and so it's very hard to come across barbers who can cut black hair. Anyway, anyway, just to go ahead with your question, yeah, I feel more comfortable actually making some I don't know, some evaluation of the race at this stage, because the choice that Mitt Romney has given us is so clear cut that it's pretty easy to read where this thing is going to go. Here's what I would say. The pros and cons of Ryan is this. Well, he's seen as what in America they call a deficit hawk. He's the chairman of the House Budget Committee, and so he's the intellectual leader of the party. So people love Paul Ryan. He's smart, he's wonkish, he's likable, he's personable, he's the kind of guy that you want to have a beer with, and so he looks like your next door neighbor. And all that is fine and nice. But like I said, he has policy baggage. This is a man who has promulgated policies which are going to affect the poor in America. He has no foreign policy experience. He doesn't shift the geographic dynamics of the race. He comes from a state, Wisconsin. Wisconsin is not a battleground state. He should have picked somebody from Florida or Ohio, the two most important states in the country. And he had Marco Rubio and Robert Portman from both states, who would have put Florida and Ohio into the map. Into the group of Mitt Romney.